So let's talk for a minute about education. The question here is education now or later? And I've got 4 different degrees up here: high school, a bachelor's degree, master's degree, and a doctoral degree, a PhD. From my experience, these are the types of jobs you can expect in engineering. Now, I'm an engineer, so this is what I've seen. You can make similar assumptions or talk to people and find similar information about other fields within STEM or even outside of STEM based off of the type of degree that you get. And I think this perspective is really important. So of my friends who got their high school degree and then went out to work, who were in an engineering related field, most of those are technician types or on the manufacturing side of things. So in any product development, they're down there running the floor, part of the team that's putting this product together, and maybe troubleshooting different things on the product. Those who left with a bachelor's degree ended up doing things in CAD. CAD stands for computer aided design. So they spend their time taking models and getting them correctly dimensioned in the computer and sent to the manufacturing groups for machining and production. Those who stayed for a master's degree generally do the analysis on the product. So that means that they're doing stress analysis, maybe on a bracket, or they're looking at using computational fluid dynamics to analyze the flow over a geometry. So they do a lot of prediction about the performance of the product once it's designed. They run software in order to compute these analyses and look at the performance of the product. Those who stayed for a doctoral degree are in the research and design or research and development. They call it R&D groups of these companies who are actually doing the design work on the product. Now that can include the design work on the product itself, or it can include the design of the software that's being used by the master's or bachelor's degrees employees who are running that software. But they do most of the software type development, the design of the product itself, and that's because their minds have been trained to explore. And that's one of the benefits of getting a little bit more education, is that your mind gets trained to do different things and to think in different ways. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later on. But that's something to be aware of, is just the types of jobs that you can expect. Now, I got a PhD, obviously, and I teach in academia, but I did spend about 3.5 years in industry, and I did an internship while I was going to school, also worked in a national lab. And so I've had friends at each of these different degree levels who have graduated and gone on and worked. And so I feel like I've learned a lot just by watching them. Now, I'm not trying to suggest that everybody needs to get a PhD. It was the right route for me, and I have absolutely no regrets. But what I do want you to be aware of is just to look at these different types of jobs and try to align these jobs or these different levels with the types of things you like to think about. What type of job do you think you're really going to enjoy in the long run? Now something may be exciting for a short term, but what's going to become mundane over time? And in the long term, where do you want to be? What types of products do you want to be doing? And maybe more importantly, what on that product line do you want to be working on? Is it the CAD? Is it the analysis, the research and design, the manufacturing? Each of these comes with pros and cons. And so you want to choose the degree level that's going to align you with the type of job that most suits you. I've heard a lot of students and different people claim that they're just tired of school and they're ready to get out into the workforce and get a real job, and that someday they'll come back. And I'd just like to walk through these 3 common claims, or in my opinion, they're misconceptions. Now again, I'm not saying that more schooling is right for you. That's something that you need to decide. But what I am saying is, if you think that someday you're going to come back and do more schooling, I just want you to be clear about these 3 common claims that may not hold as much water as you think. So the first one is, I'll come back later. Right now I need to go out and get a job. I need to earn some money. I'm maybe in student debt. I'm ready to be out of the classroom. I want to work on a real product. that's a real feeling you get, senioritis. You're ready to move on with your life. And I felt it too, to be honest. I wasn't planning to go on for more education. The right doors opened at the right time, and it wasn't necessarily in my plan. But I've seen people who make this claim, and I just want to make it clear that the chances of you coming back are pretty low. Once you go out and taste what a real paycheck feels like, you're most likely going to buy a house, get a mortgage, buy a car. Maybe you're going to have a family, you're going to have dependents, and the probability of you being able to put those things aside and come back and live on a student budget is pretty low. And so that goes to the second point here. My company will pay for it. Now, there are companies out there that will pay for higher degrees, and a lot of companies will tout that at these different engineering fairs or whatnot. You go up and you talk about, maybe I want to stand for grad school or something, and they'll say, hey, we'll just come for work for us, and we will pay for you to go back to grad school someday. Now, that may be true, but there's a few caveats that they may not tell you right there, and that you just need to look into more before you buy into that. The first is, a lot of companies who have those types of programs, those are competitive programs. And so they can't offer it to every single employee. So what's going to happen is once you're working for them, now you're going to need to put in an application. You're going to be competing against other employees for a slot in that program, where they're going to pay you to go back to school. So that's one thing to be aware of. Another one is that often if they're going to pay you to go back to school, they require that you continue working for them for a few years after that. Now, that may or may not be a good thing. That depends on how much you like working there. But know that usually it comes with a pair of golden handcuffs, so to speak, that they're going to require you to continue working for them for a certain number of years afterwards to, quote unquote, pay them back for the time that they invested in you in school. So those are just two caveats to think about when you believe that your company, your future company or employer is going to pay for this. Now, the last bullet here, I've heard from a lot of students. They say, well, I'm not sure what I want to do yet. I'm not sure what I really want to do with my life, and so I can't stay in school. I need to go out and get a job. And I think that this is maybe also a big misconception. If you go out and work for a job, what that employer wants you to do is to get really good at one thing. That's how they make money. They get different people in each seats within their company who are really good at that one thing, and they create this polished system that can put out a product. So usually you don't go to a company to figure out what you want to do with your life. The best place for you to figure out what you want to do with your life is in an academic setting where you can explore. You can take different types of classes. You can see what your interests are. Are you interested in computer programming? Are you interested in CAD? Are you interested in research? All these different types of things you get to explore as a student. That's one of these big benefits of the education system and how it's constructed. It's built to allow you to explore and to discover. So not knowing what you want to do yet, I can't think of a better place to figure out what you want to do than to stay in academia, make more friends, network more, get to know more people, and see more of the world before you make that decision to go work for a company. Once you start working for a company, they're going to expect you to be there for 40 hours a week working on a specific topic or a specific job. It's not the ideal place to explore. So these are just some common claims that I hear from students. And now, again, I'm not pushing you or saying that anybody should do a certain level of degree. That's totally up to you. I just want you to be aware that there are different ways to look at this. Now, one of the big dangers is that as a student, we get most of our information from other people who did not go through all the ranks of academia. So maybe we get recommendations from our parents, maybe it's our friends, maybe it's our friends' parents, maybe we did an internship with, and our boss didn't have a good experience in academia and says, oh, you don't need to stay in school any longer, just get out and go make money. That's where we get our information from. And I just want you to be aware of where you're getting your information from. Make sure you get a balanced survey of what you can expect after you graduate from school. Go out and talk to a number of people. Talk to some people who have a PhD. Talk to some people who have a master's degree, a bachelor's degree, a high school diploma. See what types of work they do. What kind of regrets do they have? Go out and explore a little bit so that you can get an idea of what to expect in your field, of the type of work that you'll be aligned with each of these degrees.